Episode 21 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Well, it's a nation of mourning right now as the U.S. upset Canada 2-1 in overtime to win Olympic gold. Yankee superstar Aaron Judge opened spring training with 2 bombs. Yankee ace pitcher Garrit faces live hitters for the first time since his Tommy John surgery last year. The Warriors go 2 for 2 on the weekend. Meanwhile, the Lincolns win 1 and lose 1 on the weekend. The Chatham Maroons take down the high-flying Strathroy Rockets 6-3 Saturday night in Strathroy. And in Chew on That, we got Dave Graff comparing 1980 U.S. gold medal team to the 2026 gold medal team. All that and more on the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball, the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered.
Due to busy Sunday, yes, you hear that right. We're taping this on Sunday as Monday, the Strathroy Rockets come into the Allman Arena. So we want to watch that game and not have to worry about taping the show that night. So taping it on Sunday. We're going to change things around a little bit. We got guys scrambling to make time in their busy schedules. So we're going to start off with Buzzing with Clarko.
Buzzin' with Clarko, a weekly roundup of the Stratford Warriors with Jason Clark, brought to you by Nick Hishin of Indy Mortgage, the independent mortgage company serving customers from coast to coast with access to well over 50 lending options available. Give Nick a call as he works for you, not the banks. FSRA license number 12403.
Yes, guy. We got Jason Clark in the house. How are you, Clarky?
I'm good, Razor. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
You and I are flying solo tonight. Halser and Schenker are off drowning their sorrows probably after today's big loss to the Americans. Actually, Halser's going to be back with the next segment with Chester, but 2 big wins by the Warriors this weekend.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, we're real happy with the run that we're on right now, and real good start. Another big one coming tomorrow night at home and makeup game too.
Yeah, huge game with red hot Strathroy Rockets coming into town. Now, they kind of had the wind in their sails taken out by the Chatham Maroons on Saturday night, but still, they took down the Legend Killers on Friday at the PRC, so we got to be careful about them. You got back-to-back games with them, Monday, and then I believe it's Saturday. Down in Strathroy.
St. Mary's mix in there in the middle.
Exactly. Those. Yeah, it's almost another gauntlet finish to the season. I was looking at the schedule. I got to give you a shout out. Sharp looking sweater here. Let's see it. Show it up a little bit. Folks,
these are Zip Warrior Under Armour jersey this year.
Come down to the Allman Arena and the boys will set you up there. Let's start off with Friday night's win over the St. Thomas Stars. 3-0 win. Bender got the win. You outshoot the Stars 38-17. Bender stops all 17 his way. And then you got Will Camputero had a solid game, stopping 35 of 38. Tell us what you liked about that game.
I liked their whole game. Really, we're in playoff mode, and we've had a few good games in a row here now, and we kept chugging along as well Friday night. I just liked our whole lineup, top to bottom. I thought a real bright light. Besides Noah, I mean, he was real good and stopped everything that he had to. Made some huge saves for us. I think you were at the game, but in the first period there, they had a power play, and the puck came across.
The one-timer?
Yes.
Yeah.
One-timer, Noah got over there, made a really good save. On him, and he got all the wood on it as well. Like, it was a real good play by St. Thomas going to the top and then down to flank for the one-timer, but Noah got over there, made a great save. And, I think that really set up the group. Everybody knew, he was in the zone that night. Our group played that way in front of him. And opposite to that, Camputero down at that's the second time I've seen him live this year. Another time we went to St. Thomas, we were able to sneak out a win too. But I think that night we had over 60 shots on him. And it was maybe one of the first games he had once he came to St. Thomas out of the OHL this year. A big kid. Great. Fundamentals. He just looks really comfortable in the net all the time.
Yeah.
And I think, he made a lot of really good saves that really didn't give us second chance opportunities. Cruz Ferguson scored a beautiful goal in really tight.
Yep.
And got it up over top of him. And then another guy for us I thought had a really good night was Grady Murphy. He was good all night. Great on the penalty kill. And then with that third goal there, kind of a bounce off. Another guy that's been really, really good and steady for us is Evan Arnold. That got it going for us, right? A little bit of a jam play at the net, and he snuck it by Camputero there as well. Overall, just another good game for us, having another team that's fighting for their playoff lives, who are in and hungry, and they're a really, really good, fast, young team. And we were able to find a way Friday night, which was really good to see for the guys to start the weekend off.
Yeah, I was standing up top with Bill Boone and Dan Dunsmore, and all three of us were saying, and we've mentioned it here on the podcast before, the plethora of good goalies, especially in the West, the ones that we get to see. And Camputero is yet another good goalie coming through the Almond. You hit the nail on the head. Like, he just looks so comfortable in there. And we were saying how both him and Bender are big goalies. And you look at Hellebuck today, and when you're that big, as long as you can be positionally sound, that stops a lot of shots right there. And then, of course, you got to move your arms and make saves even after you're butterflied. But just really, really nice to see good goaltending at both ends. It was unfortunate for St. Thomas, who's fighting for their playoff lives, to be missing their rookie sniper, Miles Dunn, who had been called up to the Sarnia Sting, unfortunately, that night. But we'll definitely have to keep an eye on the Stars, because they're, like I said, fighting for their playoff lives right now. So
yeah, they I don't even know. I didn't check the score today. I think they were like a 4:00 start in Listowel today, or maybe Listowel was there. They won 5-4 in overtime today.
I'm not sure if they've updated it, but it's got them at 45 points in ninth, 1 out of 8. Waterloo's got 46 points. Tell us about what happened down in Waterloo on Lake Ontario this afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to try and mention that. Like, it's just, it's such a different game there, right? Like, I was thinking about it as I was watching the game. I was thinking, like, when mistakes are made in Stratford or Strathroy or St. Mary's or Chatham or Sarnia for that degree, you really get burnt kind of at a quick bang play. And in Waterloo today, when I saw some mistakes, both teams had another 100 feet to recover.
Right.
So it's a completely different game. There's a lot of flipping. There's a lot of glassing outs and neutral zone transition. The one thing I do like about that big ice is off the rush. Both teams just come at you with incredible speed. So, it's on the defenders to get a stick in a good lane and have good angles and get guys to the outside and drive them off the post, etc. And we did a really good job of that today. I mean, the game was 1-0. Again, Cruz Ferguson, great goal in real tight on Grind again today. Grind was really good. Bender was excellent when he had to be today. And then Quinn Kipfer got an empty netter. So it finished 2-0, but it was a 1-0 game. We scored maybe under a minute or in the last minute, that empty netter. So they had their goalie pulled from about the 3-minute mark, trying to get one back. And
right.
But it's just a completely different game there, right? It is a racetrack up and down the ice with not a lot of neutral zone play. Like, shots weren't really high today at, I don't know the final.
23-18, you guys outshot them.
Yeah.
Very low scoring.
Very, very low, but that just, it's in tune with that rink and the game, right? Like, there's so much playing on the outside, and there's so much more room to zip the puck around. Cycle pucks, teams just go back and forth, the half wall, back down to the corner, then up to the top and back down low. And So a lot of the time is spent puck control wise, not getting pucks in the net. Where you play in Stratford, you're 1-2, pucks coming to the net, hunt, retrieve, 1-2, pucks coming to the net because there's just not enough space. So completely different game, but really, really good day for us as well, heading into another 6-point weekend and capturing the first 4. And we have another high fly tomorrow night with Strathroy coming to town. Another great ticket to get in the league, to see this young Strathroy Rocket team and the firepower that they have and the push that they're on to solidify themselves in the playoffs, and jockeying for position every night. Like, because you watch it, but anyone that's watching or doesn't pay much attention to it, after every day, there's 2 or 3 shifts in the standings in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Both at the top end and the bottom end. So
It's tight.
everybody's jockeying for positions here.
Bender got the start again, back-to-back shutouts, 3 days apart, stops 18 of 18 today. Grind, you had mentioned, he stops 21 of 22. Ferguson got his 24th from Slatter midway through the first. And then, like you had mentioned, Kipper, he got his 13th with 52 seconds left to go, the empty net. Just looking at this, isn't including Chatham and Elmira's game tonight, which is going to start shortly. But Chatham, they have played 45 games. They have 69 points. St. Mary's has played 45. They have 68 points. Elmira, 43 games, 67 points. And then you guys, 45 games, 65 points. You guys are 2 points out of third place right now.
Yeah.
Like, people weren't talking about that 10,
Definitely
14 days ago. And so things can change. And like you had mentioned, London seems to be keeping the pace with you. They're on a 4-0 run right now. They've got 45 games played, 63 points. So
I was just going to mention, like, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we talked about, if you're any team in the Western Conference, pick who you want to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, you talk about teams keeping pace with other teams, and everybody is playing good. Like, there's nobody that's on a big slide, and everyone is just so tight, and it keeps changing every day where you might be or where you not be. Now, we've been locked with London for quite a while now in 4-5. We'll see what happens down the road here. I mean, a couple teams ahead of us have to lose some games, and we have to continue to win some games to make any big changes, and that's the same for everybody in the division. We're close enough that it can be in the conversation for sure. We'll just see what happens because we have all tough games in front of us.
Yeah, obviously you want to try and finish as high as possible. If you were to end up in fourth, let's say, at least you get home ice advantage in the first round and then let the chips fall where they may.
You want to finish 1-4, right? You want that extra home game in the first round for sure.
Exactly. You had mentioned Monday, tomorrow night, you've got Strathroy in. They've got the high-flying line that we've been talking about, Gavin White, Ritson, and I noticed they've got a Hickson on that line now. They've moved LeBlanc down to the second line, maybe to balance out the second line a little bit. But my gosh, he's a great setup man. He had a great setup to Hickson there Friday night in St. Mary's. So you guys have them Monday. You have St. Mary's, the final game with the Lincolns Friday night at the PRC. And then you guys go to Strathroy on Saturday night for a 7:30 tilt. And then the following weekend, Friday, March 6th, you've got Waterloo at the Allman. And then you guys finish off the season going down to the Asylum in Chatham on Sunday, March the 8th. So 5 big games left for you guys. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, no easy outs there for sure, right? And we will see what we can accomplish here as we jockey for position. But it's so fun to be in a playoff race and not know where you're really going to finish, and everybody's paying attention to the scoreboard and to the standings each day because it's changing so much. And as much as it changes, it's exciting, right? Because you never know what's going to happen, and an upset's coming here. On any of these nights, a team that's further down the standings is going to take one from a team that's higher in the standings, which is going to have huge implications. So it's just great to see for the league that it's that competitive and there's that much parity in the league. and it's just great to be a part of. And I'm really proud of not only our hockey club and how we've battled all year long, but the entire conference and how everybody just brings it every night. And, we could do a show on each and every team and talk about all the great players and the great young kids that are in the league and the older guys that are doing great things. And, the amount of good people in the game and in this league and on the benches and coaching staffs, like they have a really, really good thing going here in the GOHL. So proud to be part of it, and we'll do our best to have Stratford playing as long as we possibly can.
Well, we look forward to that, Clarky. All right. Well, we'll let you go. We'll see you down at the Almond tomorrow night with Strathroy in town. Jason Clark, Director of Hockey Operations with the Stratford Warriors. Thanks so much, Clarky.
Thanks, Razor. Take care.
All right. We'll be back shortly with Halser and Chris Chessel with Chester's Perch.
You can't put a price on a good time.
Chester's Perch, the Lincoln's Report, brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Herr family since 1965.
Yes, Guy. Look at these two specimens.
Oh, special guys. Hey.
Love it. Well, welcome to the show, Halser.
Thanks, man. Always glad to be here,
Well, you were busy this afternoon, folks. For those of you that don't know, he's the color commentator on the Stratford Irish broadcast. So duty called. He couldn't make the beginning of the show.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I won't be being held up any further this spring with the Irish. They lost today 5-2 to the Strathroy Jets, so they've been eliminated in a sweep. Against Robbie Schremp and Brandon Prust and all those awesome players from Strathroy. So, it's a quick end of the year. Unlike last year, we went titled last year. That was a fun series.
Yeah.
Strathroy sure looked like they wanted some revenge, and they got a measure of it. I mean, it's only first round. It's not like a championship final, so you got a measure of revenge. But as far as I know, the Irish are still wearing those rings from last year.
Exactly. Chester, it must be pretty loud at your place. You got an American billet at your place. He must have been hooting and hollering while all you Canucks were watching the game this morning.
It was a fun morning. He was actually out of bed before I was. I was shocked. I set my alarm for 7:30, and I was laying there, and I already heard him go out and grab a few things and come back, and I was like, wow, good for you. He was fired up. So you know what?
Awesome.
It was a fun morning. We didn't get too violent with each other, so definitely fun. Really good hockey talk. It was good morning.
Oh, that's
almost
good.
all. It could have been a perfect morning, but it wasn't quite perfect. So
it almost was. It was a good week, bad week for the Lincolns. We'll start with the good part. Big win Thursday. You guys go down to Sarnia, beat them 10-1. What can you say about that? It was point night. Stratford went through that last week with them. Just kind of give us your quick synopsis with that win.
Yeah, absolutely. I will mention that I'll congratulate Tyson Cartier, a Huron-Perth Laker U18, came up and helped us out in the blue line Thursday night, and he started the game off with a goal, started his junior career with a goal in his first game, which was pretty awesome.
Amazing.
Nothing happened for 10 minutes, which was kind of bizarre. And then we scored 5 goals in 4 minutes and 46 seconds. And all of a sudden, it was 5-0 before the end of the period. And Sarnia was able to get one before the end of the period by basically running over Von Bar to get it. But I think the refs at that point were just like, it's 5-0. It's early in this game. And Sarnia's had a tough go, so we're just going to let that go. And from there, we just kind of, I think we got 2 in the second and third and 3 more in the third to make it 10. But it was a good night for some of our secondary scorers, right? Declan Reddy chipped in with 2 big goals. Callum McCauley kept scoring. Jacob Drobny, we talked about him last week, got his first goal. Now he's got 2. Got the second goal of the year in Sarnia the other night, which was great. And in the third period, our big gunners decided to chip in a little bit as well. Wortman, McQueen, Spence, and Elzinga. So all in all, a good win, a good game for Vaughn. I think he had 20 shots. Yeah, so 19 saves on 20 shots. And again, on that one that did get past him, I don't think he had much of a chance laying on his back, but that's the way she goes. No
Yeah.
big deal. So all in all,
Sounds
2
like
points
it.
that we needed, and we'll take it.
Yeah. So you guys are riding high coming into Friday night. You've got the Strathroy Rockets, the high flying Strathroy Rockets coming into town. You outshoot them 32-28, and you take a 2-1 lead in the first period. But take us through what happened at the PRC. I couldn't believe when I was checking my phone while I'm at the Almond watching the Warriors and Stars game. So what happened Friday night at the PRC with Strathroy?
Well, I'd have to say it was a sloppy game by the Lincolns. I'm going to come out and say it. We've talked Strathroy a ton the last few weeks on the program, and we know what their strong points are. They got 2 really good lines that can score, but you can't turn the puck over on your goal line twice. We had a heck of a time getting the puck out of our zone, and all credit to Strathroy for putting pressure on our D and stuff like that. But I thought we didn't play with a sense of urgency much of the night. I get it. You got one team fighting for their playoff lives. You got another team that, maybe a little too comfortable sometimes. They need to be. It's been a little inconsistent, right? The last month, February hasn't been a great month for the Lincolns, right? I think we've got 3 or 4 losses. So
Yeah.
not the perfect month. We're not playing perfect right now, and it really showed its head, I thought, Friday night, unfortunately, on our home ice. And again, I'll give all the credit in the world to Strathroy. They had a couple beautiful goals. That LeBlanc kid is a true, and I was looking at his stats earlier. This is a breakout season for that kid. He had nothing in the last couple years, a couple 10, 15-point seasons. To see where he's at now, it's just incredible, right?
I was so impressed with that backdoor pass to, was it to Hickson?
Yeah,
I think it was
it was like your typical Pittsburgh
or Gavin
Penguin.
White.
Oh, was
Gavin
it? Yeah, that
White,
one was
right.
Gavin.
Yeah, it was Gavin White. Yeah, the former Lincoln. What a pass! Like you had mentioned, LeBlanc did the backdoor pass, and Calhoun had no chance on that one. He is something to watch. And
the angle I had on that goal was awesome, because where I stand, it was like you could see the whole vision that he had right through to the goal line where Gavin White was. And I was going to say, it reminded me of when Sid the Kid gets on that post and with the Penguins, and they just seem to throw it down there, and he just tips it in. That's all they did there. It was beautiful. And he also had another great pass in the third period, or was it the third? Yes, in the third, the 5th goal. The power play goal in the 3rd period. He went across ice to Eddie Hickson on that one. That was beautiful.
Yeah, the one-timer.
Yeah. And then the goal he scored too, LeBlanc's goal, that was a heartbreaker, right? That was the end of the 2nd period. They ran a set play with about 20 seconds left. Right off the draws down in their end. Right back to the D. They win it cleanly. They go off the boards. I mean, everyone runs that play. I ran that play with my kids when they were 10, 11 years old. It works like twice a year. Right? But you run it because every once in a while, everything works perfectly, right? And that day on Friday night, they won the draw clean. LeBlanc was off to the races. They went off the boards, and he split the D, and it was over. And that was a huge goal. That was a backbreaker, I thought.
For
I think
sure.
the whole arena just lost all its energy, and everyone was like,
That was very much a momentum-changing moment, and I was so impressed. What you can't understand about this kid is that he's 6'2", 6'3",
6'4". They got him listed at
6'4", but he skates really, really well. Like
he outskated Drobny.
That was Drobny, who may be one of the fastest skating defensemen on the Lincolns. That's the strength of Drobny's game, is his foot speed, and he just fought. Not only did he race him, but he fought him off at the start too. So he's big enough to out muscle a kid, and he's fast enough to race away from him. So that was really impressive for sure, that goal.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, definitely. I was watching the highlights there on 519, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, you're right, Chess. That was a set play where they banked it off the boards. And you had LeBlanc going on a straight line. I think for a split second, I'll give Drobny credit that he wasn't aware that it was going to bank that hard off the boards. And shout out to the St. Mary's ice staff, because that puck hit the boards and the way it should, it bounced right off. It didn't. That tells me that they're doing their ice maintenance, because it didn't hit with ice on the bottom of the boards and go up in the air. It bounced right off, and then LeBlanc just outraced Drobny and went in all alone on Calhoun.
And that shot of his is a really, really heavy shot too. Beat him just above the pad on, I believe, the glove side on the far side. And I noticed him in warm up. Like, just I've seen him play before, but seeing him in warm up, that shot is so heavy. There's other guys maybe shoot it harder, but it feels like it's a rock coming in and hits the goalie.
LeBlanc's goal made it 3-2. Then Brimmel early in the third made it 4-2. And just a bad play by a Lincoln below the goal line. He gave it up, and then the pass out front from Searles to Brimmel. And then Kelp made it 4-3 at 9:49 of the third.
Yeah, there's a few people heading for the exits, but just before that goal, and then they put her in reverse and came back. There was like, okay, maybe we got something here, but no, it just, and Seth Ronan played well. He played well for Strathroy.
Mm-hmm.
Really didn't think we tested him that much. McQueen Spence had a really good chance in the first period on a 2-on-1 partial breakaway almost. He made a really good save on that. But other than that, I wasn't overly impressed with our offense Friday night either. I thought there was maybe a little too much cutesy stuff going on and not enough quality shots for that, not enough traffic. Little things you got to do to win hockey games.
You brought up a good point. I thought Lincoln Moore could have used the defenseman on one play as a screen and used that missile shot. Yeah. And he chose to drag it to his backhand, and he didn't get a whole ton of wood on it. Not like he would have if he would have just curl and dragged like he's got that world-class shot we go on about. But Ronan made a good save when Moore brought it to his backhand. I think that was in the third period when he did
that was later on. Yeah, overall, I mean, we maybe had 6 or 7 really quality scoring chances, but he played solid, did what he had to do. And I thought Brogan played well for us too. Mm-hmm. The goals they got, like we talked about, just beautiful plays. And then the turnovers down on the goal line, just there's nothing you could do on those either. So just a little sloppy from the Lynx and maybe a little not enough attention to detail. Hopefully they'll shake that off. And they got a tough job ahead of them here. They got to go into LaSalle Wednesday night, and LaSalle's beat us twice this year already. They want to get this thing rolling the right way before we hit March. So I think Wednesday is going to be a big challenge for the boys, big bus trip down there. And let's get off that bus and let's get our butts in gear and let's get geared up. And then we got, of course, the big showdown Friday night, right? So
Friday night. Yep.
Friday night lights.
That's our chance to get beer and wings off you guys. So we're hoping that Stratford brings their A game. They're on this heater right now and can unfortunately take it to the St. Mary's Lincoln. And then Saturday you host the Listowel Cyclones at the PRC. So 3 more big games, and then the following weekend and the regular season, you've got a midweek game Wednesday, March 4th at St. Thomas. And good luck with Camputero. He had another good game, even though they lost. He had another big game at the Almond there Friday against the Warriors. And then you finish off your season Friday, March 6th at home versus Elmira Sugar Kings. So big games.
You're going to see the next 2 weeks. It's just going to keep moving. So I think for the Lincolns, I think you have to be careful right now. You don't want to drop to that 4 spot. I don't think, preferably, you don't want to probably face London first round. I think if we stay in the top 3, I think is probably ideal. It's not going to matter first, second, or third. You're not going to have a cakewalk. We talked about that. I know Clark, he talked about it too.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Every team in the top 8 they're all good and they're all going to test you. So the biggest thing is to get yourself in a position where you're playing your best hockey, and hopefully that take care of itself. So yeah, I think the Lynx just got to be careful, stay in the top 3. There's a couple tough games coming. That Elmira game to finish the year could be for first place. It could be for division. It could be for second place, third place. But yeah, who knows? We got lots to see before then.
Lots of jockeying for positions. So
they're just a little bit annoyingly inconsistent right now. When they're playing well, they're still the same team. I thought they started well Friday night. They, had the first shift that was a little rough, but they really got some sustained pressure on the forecheck and really exposed the Strathroy D, which is, they are in the end, an 8th place team coming in. So as good as those guys are the top, then there's going to be spots on the team that you can attack. And I thought we did a good job of that up until they got that fluky goal on the bad giveaway, made it 1-1. And that just seemed to pull them back a little bit. I thought they started really well, but they're just annoyingly, we haven't seen a good 60-minute hockey game out of them. Maybe Elmira, but other than that, it's like, that's what's really getting, it's not that I know in that room, they're not worried about what place they finish or what everybody else is doing. They're just within their room, making sure they iron out their game. And the one thing that we know is when St. Mary's is rolling on all cylinders, they're a handful for any team. So it's going to be up to them to straighten it out. And then it doesn't much matter who you play in the first round, because they're all tough teams and it's a minefield. Whoever comes out of the West will be battle tested and probably pretty sore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as you guys have heard, Clarkie, if you put everybody in a room, you've really got to think about who you want to pick, because there's no gimmies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Chester, we look forward to hearing about next weekend with your 3 games, and all the best except for Friday night. And can't wait to see you guys over at the PRC.
Yeah, hopefully there's a couple seats left for you, Razor, when you come over, but we'll see if we can sneak in the back door if we have to.
Wouldn't be the first time, so.
All right, boys.
All
have
right,
a good
brother.
week.
Looking forward to
right.
seeing you, buddy. Chris Jessel from Chester's Perch. We'll hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Rhett Chessel and Rhett's Roundup.
Rhett's Roundup, sponsored by Deal Sports Group, specializing in custom teamwear, uniforms, and apparel such as hockey, baseball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, and more. Our online stores are used mainly as a fundraising platform. We create custom designs for clothing and hard goods. They're purchased through the DSG website and shipped to the team organizer. A 20% kickback is given to the association or individual team. We also sell promotional corporate apparel and hard goods and offer many different decoration options that include embroidery, DTF prints, sublimation, twill, leather patched, and a lot more.
How you doing, brother?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you supporting the Canadian flag even after today's outcome.
Yeah, tough one, but whatever.
Yeah. We were joking with your dad how it's tough having Keen over at your place, being an American. He would have been hooting and hollering.
Oh yeah, he's been quite annoying today.
Spoken like a true Canadian fan. So
we still own hockey. We still own it.
We
agree.
do.
The Yankees in the USA, they can yap all they want.
Well, they are. Guys like Dave Portnoy and a whole bunch of people are enjoying themselves in the limelight. All right, let's get to it. We were looking at picking a game. It would have been nice, because we're filming this on Sunday, not our usual Monday night. We can't talk about tonight's matchup with Chatham and Elmira, so I thought the next best thing would be Chatham's 6-3 win Saturday night over the red-hot Strathroy Rockets that unfortunately took down your St. Mary's Lincolns on Friday. So looking at the stats, Chatham's on an absolute heater right now. They're 6-0 in their last 6, 7-2-1 in their last 10. But before last night's loss, the Rockets were 6-3-0-1 in their last 10. So Chatham outshot Strathroy 46-28. De Blasi stopped 25 of 28. And I was kind of surprised. It looks like they kept Seth Ronan in. I don't know who the backup was, but I was looking at it. Chatham got up 4-0 and scored 2 goals in 12 seconds there in the second period, and they still kept Ronan in. What do you make of the box score with all of this, Rhett?
Well, I'll note that the Strathroy other goalie, Mason Cost, is suspended for 4 games for getting in a goalie fight. Maybe you didn't see that on the Facebook page, but
no, I didn't. And so then it would have been maybe
it was an AP, I believe.
Okay.
AP.
Okay, so that makes sense why they kept Ronan in. So
yeah, so Chatham 4-0 lead early. They think it's going to be a cruise, but then all of a sudden it's a 4-3 game. Early in the third, Jake Ritson had 2 goals. Gavin White had another goal. But then Chatham, probably maybe 2 empty netters, I believe. Chadwick and Crawford got too late at the end to make it 6-3. Strathroy was in it for like most of the game, but they couldn't tie her up. But it's kind of baffling to me. Lincoln's, they weren't good Friday night. There was nothing good Friday night in my opinion. And then Chatham, they can go out and beat them. So the Lincolns, they gotta beat these teams. Like there's no excuses. They gotta wake up and they gotta start playing full 60 minutes. Next week you got LaSalle, Stratford, who they're gonna beat, and let's do it on Saturday.
Of course they are.
You need to win all 3 games this week. I told my dad today they need to win out the rest of the season if they will even want a chance at first. Because if they continue this poor play, these garbage turnovers, they who knows, they could lose LaSalle, they could lose all of their games if they keep playing like this. So they need to be careful, very careful.
Just getting back to the Chatham Strathroy game, you're right. Chatham was up 4-0. Strathroy makes it 4-3. And Ritson had 2 goals in 46 seconds early in the third period. I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys tomorrow night at the Almond. You guys saw them there Friday night at the PRC, but really looking forward to seeing these guys. It looks like they've moved LeBlanc down to the second line. They've got Eddie Hickson now riding the wing in his place.
That was the case Friday night, Razor. And they've got the depth for it to pull it off, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's good.
Strathroy, I hope Strathroy beats Stratford Monday night.
Sure you do.
Standings wise, it'd be pretty nice.
Well, Stratford.
Hopefully Ritson scores a hattie or something.
Stratford's sneaking up. London's on a 4-game heater. Stratford's on a 6-0-1 heater. Both have played 45 games. Stratford's got 65 points. London has 63. And Elmira, they've got 2 games in hands on those teams, but they're only 2 points ahead of Stratford right now between 3rd and 4th. So it is tight. Like if Elmira loses tonight,
and they're down 2-0 after the first.
Yep.
Okay, so that could be where they only have 1 game in hand and only 2 points ahead of Stratford. So anything could happen.
Yeah, if you're the Lincolns, you say to yourself, we need to win. At least they need to win that LaSalle game. They need to win that Listowel game, preferably the Stratford game, and then next week they should win that St. Thomas game. But if they keep playing like they have been, it's not going to end up well. But so we'll see what happens. It's going to be really entertaining. That Stratford game Friday night is a huge game, and that PRC is better be packed. The PRC is a way better atmosphere than the Almond.
All right. Well, I like our seating better. We're all the way around, is where you guys are just on the sides. But
I'm not sure Rhett's been in the Almond when it's had 1,900 people in there.
Right.
And that's an atmosphere. And if Stratford and St. Mary's play in the playoffs, there may well be that many people in the rink.
I would think
then you'll see, as much as I love the atmosphere in the PRC, don't get me wrong. And Stratford can be really quiet during the regular season, but when it's packed, that place is, you'll love it. Hope it happens.
Well, Stratford doesn't have any horns, so it's like,
don't need them with 1,900 people.
Like Halser says, tell us how you really feel. Strathroy's last 5 games. Monday, they come to Stratford. Saturday, Stratford goes to Strathroy. Then Sunday, March 1st, they're at LaSalle. Wednesday, March 4th, they're at London. And then they host London for the final regular game on Saturday, March the 7th. You look at Chatham's.
It's a brutal schedule.
It is.
It is.
Brutal.
2 Stratfords and 2 London games. Definitely not gimmies by any stretch. Quickly looking at Chatham's final 5 games tonight at home versus Elmira. Then they're at Waterloo the following Sunday, March 1st. And then Wednesday, March the 4th, they're at Elmira. Saturday, March 7th, they're at Kamoka. Should be a W.
Should be, yep.
And then they finish off Sunday, March the 8th with Stratford in town. So that'll be a big game too. We should maybe plan for a roadie if there's a lot sitting on that game, fellas.
There
Have you
may
ever
well
been to
be.
Chatham Razor?
That's the
Yeah.
last game of the regular season too, I think, if my
Yeah.
memory serves me. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot at stake there for playoff seedings. Nobody's going to be able to plan their travel schedule because they
No.
won't know who they're playing probably until Stratford and Chatham have concluded their affairs.
Yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be my guess.
Yeah.
So at the bottom now, if you looked, I'm sure you all have looked now, it's Waterloo that are actually in a bit of a spot of bother. St. Thomas with a huge win today.
Yeah.
At home to Listowel in overtime, and they're 2 points back of Waterloo with a game in hand. So all of a sudden, it's Waterloo that's down.
Yeah, they're in
the eighth
eighth
spot.
Yep, with 46 points, and you've got Strathroy and LaSalle 1 point ahead. Strathroy has a game in hand, and you've got St. Thomas with 45 points with a game in hand. So it's tight. Like if I was saying to Clarkie, if St. Thomas wins, you could have 3 teams at 47 points. Like it's
Yep,
crazy.
4 to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's probably going to be, multiple ties when the end of the season's over, and then
Yeah, we
the
may end up
league's going to
having
have
to
to
get
determine who gets their spots. And
you may
yeah,
have to
there's going
get
to be
your
ties for
abacus
sure.
out and find out who's winning all the tiebreakers, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, when I click on it, there's a regular season tiebreakers, but I won't get into that.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
wait till it gets a little
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but I just hope the Lincolns can figure it out quickly here and get
What a great
6 points
division,
this
eh?
week.
it
What a
is.
fantastic division.
It's exciting. All right. I'll let you go. We got Graffer waiting in the weeds here. We want to talk about 1980 U.S. Olympic team versus this year's team. So that's going to be interesting. Thanks as always,
Yep.
Rhett, for coming on. Appreciate it. We
Yep,
look
we'll
forward
see
to
ya
talking to
Friday.
you. Well, I'll see you Friday night at the PRC.
You gonna be there? You sure?
I'll be there. I'll be
Okay.
there.
Bring your earplugs.
All right. All right. Rhett Chessel from Rhett's Roundup will be right back after a word from our sponsors with Dave Graff.
Chew on that with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
Yes, guy.
What's going on?
Not too much. Dave Graff is in the house. Yeah. Were you down at work seeing 40 and the boys this morning, or?
No, we're over at Boersma's garage.
Okay.
Gang of us, yeah, over there. So
Oh,
kept the red and
wow.
whites on. Though proud of the boys. They played great. Played
Yeah,
very
they
well.
did. Yeah, they outplayed them, but unfortunately, a goalie by the name of Connor Hellebuck turned in the game of his life. And before we get into it, I just want to give a shout out to Hellebuck, not only for the way that he played, but in relation to you talking about mental health. There isn't a goalie in the NHL that has taken more abuse over the past couple of years for their team exiting and not making it. Like I remember last year when Winnipeg got knocked out by Dallas and the media and everyone was all over Hellebuck, how he can't win the big one, lost in overtime in the Four Nations, and tip my cap to him.
For sure.
He's the reason why that the Americans are celebrating tonight all across the world.
100%.
So,
Yeah. And you know what, Razor, you say that, and it's almost like for year after year, 3 or 4 years, he saves their bacon in the regular season, gets them that place in the playoff wherever they end up.
yeah,
I know they challenged for first, I think, last year or the year before.
yeah.
But then as soon as something goes a little sideways in the playoffs, it's on Hellebuck. So yeah, great for him to get the win, and great for our boys to play like they did. Like I said to the guys, I was watching with 4 or 5 guys in the garage there, and I said, I didn't realize till about halfway through that second period how much and Halls, you said it on the chat, how much faster we are than them. There's no comparison.
Warp speed.
The foot speed is no. It's
Like
it's no comparison.
It was like that all tournament, and that's why I've never felt more okay about a silver medal than I have about this one, because those two teams, if that's a Wednesday in December, that's a 5-1 hockey game, man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, you can talk about Hellebuck all you like, but I mean, there's a picture right behind you that defies logic, how he made that save.
Yeah.
And the one that defies logic even more is McKinnon, who scores from the boards on a one-timer with about 8 inches to shoot at just inside the post in the semifinal, and then has the same angle, but from about, 9 feet?
with
And half
the
the net to shoot at and missed the net. And that's when I said, I've seen these. We've all watched games for decades in all kinds of sports. And there's those games where you say, how in the hell did we lose that game? We were so much better than them. That was today. So if Hockey Canada, I'm sure I'm waiting for the call from Hockey Canada. They're going to call me up and ask me what to do better than they've already done. And I'm just going to tell them, don't do a damn thing different. Send the exact same team to every tournament we ever play, and we'll win 9 out of 10 of them. It was beautiful to watch.
They played great. They carried the play. I mean, and before we talk hockey, I got to say, aside from sports, fellas, as I've been sitting there watching the news for the last little while, I know we talk sports on here, but the other side of life here, real life outside of sports, I've often this winter with how bad we've been hit said, why do we live here? Why do we live here? But then I see all the shit going on in the world today, like in Mexico now with all kinds of Canadians stranded, and they're attacking the Guadalajara airport as we speak. I think, I think everybody in our neck of the woods just needs to kind of look in the mirror and be thankful for where we do live in good old Canada here, and maybe put up with the bad weather here and there because we know what hits, right? But I just wanted to get that out there, guys. That aside from sports, just proud to be a Canadian, period, and happy that I am Canadian and live in this country with all the shit that's going on everywhere else. I mean, just insane right now. But back to hockey compared to the 80 game, and you really can't compare it except for the one thing, and we basically touched on it, and that's Hellebuck, what he did today. Because you go back to 1980, and I mean, obviously that was the odds for Russia winning that game were 1-10 and 100-1 for the U.S. going in, whereas nowadays you can argue that, yes, we saw Canada's speed today and we saw their dominance. So, yes, they're undoubtedly the favorite against a U.S. team, but not in the same context, obviously, as Russia was against the U.S. in 1980.
No, not even close.
No.
Right. But the big similarities today was, and again, we touched on it, was Canada's dominance, shots on goal being, I think it ended up 42-28. I think it was 39-16 back in 1980 for the Russians. Canada came at we came at the U.S. today in waves, and obviously ifs and buts were candies and nuts. If we could have buried a few more, it's a different outcome. But Connor Hellebuck and Jim Craig is one very eerie comparison from today to 1980. The U.S. goaltender stood on his head. Now, the difference there is Jim Craig only played about 20 games of pro. Hellebuck's been a proven, NHL
Vezina Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Not only that, Trapper, I agree with you. To your point, on top of that, he's got the hockey flow, Hellebuck, right? He's got long hair, And so when he's got the long flow and he's got the flag over and he's looking up into the stands, he even looked like Jim Craig.
Jimmy, yeah. A little more modern equipment, but yeah, you're right.
Right.
But anyway, so I just wanted to touch on that. So good for the U.S. in that sense. 46 years coming. Same day as they beat the Russians, February 22nd. Today was the 46th anniversary, so good for them.
Yeah.
But we gotta be super proud of our boys, and the way they played. They got nothing to hang their heads about. A few other things I wanted to bring up, and I want to get your guys' input. 3 more things here. The officiating, I thought, dropped the ball today. And I don't say that as a sore loser, sour grapes, because I know there's probably some Canadian calls missed as well. But the hook on Bennett, the slash on McDavid's hands on the breakaway, the too many men on the ice, that's the best the NHL has. I assume the NHL sent some of their best guys there to do this type of hockey game. That they dropped the ball there big time. 5-on-5 OT has to change for the next Olympics. I hope they get to their senses. You got to play. Let's win it by hockey. Let's not, like Clarky said in the chat, let's not decide it with pond hockey. Why don't 6 of us just go down to the Avon and have it out? You got to. I think you got to win it playing. You got to win it playing hockey, in my opinion. Right.
Right. Sid's goal was 4-on-4 at the time.
Was that, did the Nations do in 2010?
In Vancouver.
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
4-on-4 overtime. So they
Yeah,
have been reducing it. It's just that particular overtime was 20 minutes in a shootout. So I guess when it comes to the double IHF grapher, I feel like incrementally they might eventually get it right. They got it so
Yes.
screwed up before where they'd play 10 minutes of overtime and then right to a shootout. It used to drive everybody over here nuts.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess when I look at the trade-off, it's like 5-on-5 with a shootout or 3-on-3 continuous. I guess I prefer the 3-on-3. Obviously, it should be, I agree with you, should be 5-on-5 in perpetuity because it's a gold medal game. Where are you going? Is there a beer league game going on? Like, do we only have the ice for 4 hours? You know what I mean? So that drives me nuts too. But, the thing I find interesting is nobody's talking about Makar in overtime. I don't hear anybody talk like
His
that.
Pinch.
Well, it wasn't only a pinch, but here's the thing. And this is what disturbed me about the play. When they showed the replay from the camera behind the net, if you look behind Jack Hughes is a dogging Cale Makar coming back. And only when Hughes got the puck did Makar suddenly turn on the jets and come after him. And that's what was really disturbing to me is that he was dogging it coming back. And I thought he was going to get absolutely roasted in socials for that because that was a horrible pinch. It was the comparisons to the ladies game was crazy where they go into 3-on-3, it's tied 1-1, and then a major defensive error cost Canada the game. That was the same thing in both games. But nobody saw the fact that Makar was dogging it coming back. Now, would he have caught him if he was
That's
busting
what I was going to ask.
I don't know. I don't know, but I guarantee you he ain't going to catch him if he's dogging it. And what's the oldest line in hockey? The guy who makes the defensive mistake is who? The fastest guy on the ice, and he wasn't. And I was shocked by that.
Yeah. Now you can go to the first goal, guys. How does Baldy? How does he?
Matt Baldy.
Do you know what reminded me of? You're making the comparison to 1980. I'm thinking that reminds me of the goal that the U.S. scored with about 2 seconds left on that giant rebound. It just came out of nowhere. It's like, boom, all of a sudden, like Canada's in control. All of a sudden, they flip a puck up the ice and boom, it's in our net. They got one shot in 8 minutes and they're up 1-0.
But they didn't get a hand on him, like not even a forearm or something in the way to impede him.
But that was just
it was
one
Makar again.
Boom,
it was Makar and Taze. Makar and Taze.
Let's face it, defensively, as Makar, as beautiful it is to watch him play offensively, he can be a proper train wreck in his own end.
Yeah. And I actually had the U.S. When we were talking before the game, the fellas I was with, I pegged the Canadians as having a better defense than the U.S., but give the U.S. defense credit because they got some offensive guys and they played well. Like we took it to them and good for us, but they weathered the storm and did what they had to do. So,
like other than that first shift, the Americans dominate. Like Canada couldn't get it out of their end, and I'm like, oh my god! Like I hope this isn't the way the game's gonna go. And then the Canadians found their rhythm, and that never happened for the rest of the game. But that opening shift by the U.S. had everyone going, "What the hell is going on?" Canada, like McDavid, our top line couldn't get it out of our own end.
It was a good wake up call.
Right? It was.
That was good coaching at the time because if you notice on their breakout, they were trying to go up the wall, and then almost the rest of the game, their first pass was quite often low slot in the middle. The D or a centerman would come down real low past the hash marks, and they would pass it out in the middle because all the pressure was going out to the sides.
Or they
turn
would
and go, and we came out of the zone with speed almost every single time. It was
or go low. They would go low in the corner, and you'd have the two wingers converging, and you had two options, like you said, two options going through the middle, and they got it out with ease. And I think there was only one other 5-on-5 U.S. shift the rest of the game that was like that, sometime in the third. Either before or after the penalty.
Maybe you guys could help me out. Did the Chucks actually play that game? I don't know. I never heard their name all day.
Thanks for bringing that up. That's the other part of my backdrop there. The little foghorn, leghorn, and chicken hawk.
Boy, I say boy.
I say boy.
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
But anyways, I got to bring it up because listen, I always
Brady.
When Matthew listen, when Matthew was in Calgary, I was a bit of a Matthew fan. I like Calgary. Always wanted to see them do well. Didn't mind the way he played. And Brady, I talked about him earlier in an episode earlier this year about the Senators, and this is their year, and he's the guy that's going to do it. Blah blah blah. Well, they're still flirting around on the edge of the playoffs and out of the playoffs. And, you know, the guy, I looked at his past, I think, other than what he won today and a gold medal, and good for them. Kudos to the Americans, like I said, good for them. They won the gold medal. But other than that, I think he's won 2 playoff games in 8 years in Ottawa. Yeah. And there he is, hiding behind his brother, as his brother's mouthing off Leon Draisaitl, generational hockey player from Germany, that all he does is carry the Edmonton Oilers every freaking year with Connor. You know, yeah, they haven't won it. I get it. Josh Allen hasn't been to the Super Bowl. I get it. They haven't won it.
But Josh Allen don't play for Germany.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, there you are hiding behind your brother, chirping off Leon Draisaitl. Like, just stop. Just play the fucking game. Stop. Yeah. Go out and do something on the ice. Because what did he do on the ice today other than throw it right into his slot at one point to a Canadian player?
Yeah, that was a great pass.
I don't think I saw him do anything else the whole game.
Neither one of them.
That game was going way too fast. They should have got Eichel away from the brothers, because obviously put the brothers, try and get them out against the Bennett line.
Yeah.
Now that's something we all wanted to see.
That's something everyone wants to see, and they can mix it up. Yeah.
Because I thought about the only forward whose name was not Hughes. I thought their only player who looked good offensively was Eichel, because he can skate with Canada. He was one of the very few guys that could skate with them, and they saddled him with the brothers all game long, and that almost eliminated his effectiveness.
No, and listen too, Keith Tkachuk, great career in the NHL, great teammate from all accounts, great guy, great career. Just the boys just need to stop. Just shut up and keep playing hockey, because they're good hockey players. They can be good hockey players, and they got a great future in front of them. Just stop the chirping. It's just it's gotten old fast. That's all I wanted to say about that. So,
at the very least, I'll let Matthew chirp, because he's won the cup.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. As a supporting, you could argue in a supporting role to Barkov and Ekblad and some of the other guys. But yeah,
Bennett and Marchand.
And Marchand they brought in last year. Good for him though. Yep. Kudos to them for winning. Good for them.
Yeah. Back-to-back cups. You know, he's the sort of guy, Graffer, that you hate playing against, but you would take him on your team, right? Because he's a shit disturber. Yeah, he's out there, you know, stirring up shit. And I just wish that he would stick to playing the game a little bit better. And you know, Draisaitl, good point to you. Draisaitl's an easy target, because he knows he's not going to drop the gloves. Yeah. He wouldn't say something like that to Bennett.
And he's playing, like Hall said, he's playing for Germany. He's not playing for
exactly.
You know, like, come on.
Yeah.
Pick a tougher target there. Tough guy. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
The one thing that I wanted to say though, Graffer, before I let you go, you know, everyone was talking about, and I'm totally with you guys. I think Team Canada was a great team. We have a lot to be proud of. There was people on the internet saying that was the best Canadian team that we've ever had. I did some research, and
oh, they're good, but hold on, they're not even second. Okay, hold on.
They're not. And so I did some research, and if you're under the age of 40, you might not remember some of these names, but 1976 Canada Cup. They had 18 Hall of Famers, guys with the name of Orr, Potvin, Robinson, Serge Savard, Sittler, Bobby Clark, Lafleur, Esposito. So that's 76's team.
Serge Savard was at that game. They showed him.
They showed him, didn't they?
Yeah. There's a lot of celebrity players there. 1987 in Hamilton, the 87 Canada Cup. They had 12 Hall of Famers: Gretzky, Lemieux, Messier, Bourque, Coffey, Fuhr, Gilmore. There's more names. So
Howard-Chuck.
Yeah, you had 18 Hall of Famers in 76, 12 Hall of Famers in 87.
Hey, Razor, quickly. 87 team. Remember Dan Kelly's call on Gretzky to Lemieux?
Oh, yeah.
Got to be the best hockey call.
With Larry Murphy standing at the back door.
He got dumped at the side of the net there, yeah.
That has
to be the best play-by-play call of a goal that I've ever heard. It was so good.
Lemieux. Yeah.
Dan
Kelly was awesome.
He was awesome.
This year's 2026 team, and like I said, no disrespect, because it was one hell of a team. I'm thinking that there's like 8, maybe 9 Hall of Famers on it. And this is, a big if. So you've got the locks, Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, but then you get into Celebrini, Makar, Doughty, Marner, Stone, and maybe Marchand. Great team, not anywhere near the 18 or 12 Hall of Fame Canada teams, but man, oh man,
younger generation always likes to believe their team is the best ever.
Yeah, and I get it, right?
They're different eras, but like, the 76 team had the best defensive core ever assembled on a hockey team ever.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys weren't just Hall of Famers. It was the best hockey player of all time in Bobby Orr. Yeah. And Serge Savard, who is a 5 or 6 time Stanley Cup winner. Larry Robinson, who is the only defenseman ever to have a plus 100 rating at the end of a season other than Bobby Orr.
Other than Bobby, yep.
And also Dennis Potvin, who was a 4-time Stanley Cup champion and a first ballot Hall of Famer. That was what those guys played together on one team.
Right.
Okay. And then I think 87 probably had the best collection of forwards that we've ever put together because they had Gretzky and Lemieux. Like I said, Howard, that was the line. Gretzky, Lemieux, Howard Chuck. A total of, let me do some quick math here, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 NHL career points from 3 guys.
Yeah.
Howard Chuck had 1,400 points and he was last of the 3.
Yeah.
So I've never seen a hockey team like that, but the Russians had one to match. And I tell you what, all you young people that are still listening out there, get a hold of some kind of video and go watch the 1987 Canada Cup. 3 games. All 3 were 6-5 hockey games. And everybody talks about, all the hooking and the holding. Yeah, there was hooking and holding and smothering and jumping, and it was 6-5. They still generated 11 goals.
They still scored 11 goals a game.
They generated more scoring opportunities in a period than the Olympics generated maybe in a whole game.
And that's what the Hall of Fame goalie in net with Grant Fuhr.
Didn't Grant Fuhr say, I just knew I had to let in 5 or less and we were good?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was the only area that the Russians weren't good. I mean, they had the famous Fab, what'd they call them? The Fab 5 that ended up going to Detroit.
Yeah.
There was the KLM line with
Krutov,
Larionov, and
Makarov.
And the defensemen were Fetisov and Kasatonov. I remembered, believe it or not.
Right.
And those guys are all Hall of Famers too. And they were all playing in the same game, man. That was just, that best of 3 was absolutely the best hockey I have ever seen. It's not anywhere even close.
Yeah.
No,
good stuff, Graffer.
Yeah, good chat, guys. But hey, be proud to be Canadian, boys. Wear the red and white proud. It was I don't know if one of you guys might have just said it too, but I think one of you guys did. I don't feel like we lost today.
No.
Silver medals are silver. Yeah, we wanted the gold badly, and it hurts to that extent. But you know what? We didn't lose today. We showed we're the best team, and hats off to the Americans for winning.
One of the reasons why I love sports so much is because it mirrors real life. In real life, life can be brutally unfair, and it's the same with sports, right?
Yeah.
And so,
good stuff.
Besides, we win gold all the time. You haven't won one in most people's lifetime. So go ahead and have your one.
Hey, we've still won half the. Hey, we've still won half
3 of the last 5, right?
Yeah,
so
that's what I mean. We've won half the Olympics with the pros playing, so we're doing okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Be good.
Appreciate Dave Graff. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and then Halser and I are going to look after trending and our new baseball segment, Swing and a Miss. We'll be right back.
Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Call Bick Heating and Cooling for all your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. Proud Rude Pro partner. BickHeatCool.com or 226-921-4848. Your home team specialists. Taking care of Stratford and area since 2013. Vreda Veld Painting. Servicing Stratford and surrounding area. With over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs. On time and on budget. Eisen Canada Inc. is a trusted automotive parts manufacturer located in Stratford, Ontario. As part of the global Eisen Group, the company produces precision components like door frames, sunroofs, touch sensor systems, and power back doors. Supplying leading automakers such as Toyota and Lexus, Eisen Canada is committed to quality, innovation, and excellence in manufacturing. This trending segment brought to you by Best Western Plus Arden Park Hotel, located at 552 Ontario Street, Stratford, located steps from the Festival Theatre, while offering first-class accommodations with an extensive range of services, including conference center, banquet facilities, and heated indoor pool.
Okay, we are happy to report that our sponsors, Greg and Andrea Hayter, seem to be having a great time down in the sunny Caribbean or wherever they are. I just saw pictures of them on social media. They're down on a warm beach, lapping up the sun. So shout out to our great sponsors, Greg and Andrea Hayter from Arden Park Best Western Hotel. Okay, Halser, we were going to talk about the Canada-US game there on Trending. We talked a little bit about it with Graffer on Chew on that, but what were some of the things that caught your eyes with the game today that we didn't talk about, Graffer?
Well, I just, the thing that really, the takeaway, I think, is the speed in which the Canadian team is able to play the game. There was no room. There was absolutely no room for the U.S. to move because somebody was on them defensively. And what a way to play defense. Like you're not just sitting back and being a smothering defense. They're more like a football defense where you've got safeties all over the park, just inside the jersey of their check. And every time the puck got moved, boom, no time and space. And if they got rid of it on a good pass, boom, no time and space. And eventually, winning puck battles, they get the puck back right through center ice with speed again. And that's, in this day and age, when you're watching, my God, I was so happy to play the Americans. Okay.
Yeah, we all wanted that.
But at the end of the day, I got a beef with this tournament. And I don't know if it's because we sent such a good team over there, but nobody gave us a game. Not a single team gave this team a game. And what I mean by that is from the word go, from the opening puck drop, every team they played shelled, trapped. Maybe they'd forecheck if they were quick enough, but otherwise they just sat back, circled the net with all five of their defenders and made it virtually impossible to score on them. And you just saw it game after game, whether it was the 3 games in the regular schedule part, which are, minnows compared to Canada. But even when they got to the quarterfinals, the matchups, you're playing the Czechs. The Czechs aren't anywhere near. They got NHLers, bona fide NHLers. They're a bona fide team that might have a chance at a bronze medal, but they can't play with this team. But they know that. And the game that they gave us was like watching the Italians play soccer when they're up 2-0. Everybody's back behind the ball, right? And that's the way the Czechs played. And right off the gun from the Finnish game, the same thing. And we couldn't get a game out of anybody. And I'm going crazy because I know we're not going to be able to score. Like nobody's going to score 4 because the other team is barely even trying to score. They're just playing that counter punch game, the transition game. It works. It's all X's and O's, and that's fine. But it's not, when you got a team like we have, you want somebody to give us a game.
Yeah.
Let's go. How many? I counted. There were 3 odd man rushes in the Finnish game. 3 odd man rushes. And that is so tight defensively that it just squeezes all the fun out of it. One of the best things, this is where I'm sitting going, I love watching junior B hockey because they are not nearly that good at locking down defensively. There's odd man rushes all the time. There's flow to the game. It's back and forth. There's speed to it. But the way these guys are doing it, they're all hanging back. The U.S. at least would try and come up and forecheck us. And that allowed, boom, then we're playing with speed. And they've got guys that are quick enough to play with Canada, like Eichel, like Hughes. And when they get on there, they start skating too. And all of a sudden, boom, you've got that flow back. So I was so happy to play the Americans, and they gave us the game that we wanted. We're still too quick for them, and we'll beat them 10 out of 10 times, but they won when it mattered. And that's the only thing you can take away, is that they lost the game, but I don't think there's any question who the better team is.
And the Americans were even saying that as they were being interviewed. But when I was looking at social media, even the Americans, when they were coming off the ice, talking to NBC and talking to all the different press, they said it straight up that Canada outplayed us, but we had a guy between the pipes that played the game of his life. It reminds me of Herb Brooks's line, 9 out of 10 times they're going to beat us. Well, that was Canada.
Yep.
And you look at the breakaways. McDavid, he didn't even get a shot off. He was
He
he's stick-handled right into Hellebuck's right pad, right? And you know that he's kicking himself for not shooting.
Yep.
Celebrini. He comes in. The desperation stick save that I've got as my backdrop reminds me of Patrick Waugh in '93 against LA, making the Hail Mary. Cujo against Dallas. Like there's a few of them where they make the Hail Mary paddle last gasp, and it was just Hellebuck's day. McKinnon, you had mentioned missing the net. McAvoy, the puck was behind Hellebuck, about to cross the line, and Charlie McAvoy knocks it out of midair and
knocks it off the line. Yeah,
it was just everything that went the Americans' way. And you got to give a shout out too to Dylan Larkin for two things: A, for staying alive when Tom Wilson went to hit him behind the net.
That was the hit of the year.
So today was the first game that I actually saw them play, but I had seen enough of them in the Four Nations to know the gist of what they're like. And I had forgotten just how good they are on faceoffs. Remember the 5-on-3 we had? We couldn't get possession of it. We wasted like half of the power play retrieving it from our own end, because Larkin was the top faceoff man in the tournament at 70%. And then Trocheck was number two at 67%.
I think at one point in that game, Trocheck was 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 to start the game. Canada did better in the face-off later, like in the second half of the game. But you're right, first half of the game, they couldn't get the puck. That was another contributing factor. You got a 5-on-3 with that power play. And frankly, they didn't really scare anybody with that power play.
No, they were looking for, like I was saying on our group chat, shoot the fucking puck. They were looking for the cute pass, the back door. Like you got Makar and all these guys, McDavid, they're in the slot. Just pull the trigger. Thank God Austin Matthews was right at the goal mouth, and he tried to get cute and pass it off there to look for a cute goal. Like, shoot the puck. And Horvat was our top face-off guy at 63%. And this is where we really missed him, not only for everything else that he brings, but Sid was second on our team at 61%. So if you didn't have Horvat out there, our next best guy, McDavid, was only at 55% on face-offs. That's a huge drop. And so, full credits to the Americans. You brought up a great point about Makar pinch at the blue line and not getting back. I was disappointed that McKinnon hesitated and didn't go for the puck with Werenski.
Well, in the end, you've got a D-man. You got a forward playing as a D-man, and so you can't keep too hard on him for making a wrong decision. He doesn't. What's the old line? He doesn't know whether to shit or wind his watch at that point, because he's a forward. So if I could go for this, but if I don't get this, then there's surely going to be a guy behind me walking in on a breakaway. But like I said, in 3-on-3, to me, going into the overtime, my analysis of it was remembering, because I did watch the Americans play Sweden, and I was amazed coming away from that game because I found a cure for sleep apnea. Anyways, they won in overtime because they just gave it to the defenseman Hughes. Is that Quinn? I think that's Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn.
And they just gave it to him. They get their two forwards down low and have Quinn operate one-on-one. And eventually he just got himself a little space, snapped it in off the post. They win the game. So my thought was, with Canada having the last change being the higher seed, you watch their bench. When Hughes comes out, Makar comes out. And just because Makar's the guy that can skate with Quinn.
Right.
You have the two forwards match up, but instead of a traditional matchup, have Makar simply take care of Hughes.
Yeah.
Don't let Hughes beat us. We got enough guys on our side in 3-on-3 that can win the game. Do not let their best player beat us. And in my opinion, Quinn Hughes was their best player.
I thought it was pretty cool. They were interviewing Quinn, and he said that last night at 12:30, he said, I texted Jack and I said, what are you up to? And he says, just laying here in bed, dreaming of scoring the game-winning goal for the Gold. And I just thought that was so cool that, it actually happened, and, he was able to manifest it. I like the Hughes boys. They're good kids, and I just thought they played a really good game. But yeah, it's going to take us at least a couple years. There's talk of them having the Four Nations in 2 years. They'll have that coincide because nobody wants to watch the All-Star game.
Sometimes I live too much in the past, but I can remember All-Star games that mattered and were actually good hockey games. And when both sides tried and played defense.
But the Campbell and Wales.
Yeah, the Campbell and Wales conference games, and there were penalties. There were penalties in those games.
Right.
Those guys were trying to win it. So I love that too. I don't think we can do it every year. I think it loses its luster. But believe
it's taxing on the players too.
Yeah.
Right?
But I like the way they set it up. I like them having it the year before the Olympics.
Yeah, that was good.
I think it's a great idea to just let's go a couple years without it, bring it back the year before, because everybody will that'll start everybody's chatter, and at least in both countries on this continent, about who's going to play for the team that's going to, for the big rematch, right? Because you start the lead off to the rematch for this game a year prior at the All-Star break, having a Four Nations, or who knows, maybe by then Russia will be back in the fold, which would be nice to get. That they're missing from the tournament. I don't think nobody's talked about them now. They've been gone for 3 years, is it?
Yeah.
And to Graffer's point earlier about what crazy shit that's going on in the world today. I mean, the Russians aren't anywhere athletically anymore because they're not welcome because of politics, and that's a shame. Being old again, I remember 1980 was also about boycotting the Olympics in the summer. Because of what was going on. And when athletes get affected by politics, it sucks. And it would have been nice to have Malkin and Ovechkin one last time in the Olympics. As much as I would have cheered for somebody, hurting them on a big check, the tournament's better with Russia there. And I don't think at this point, Sweden is not the Sweden they used to be. They don't have a Forsberg. They don't have a Sundin. They don't have a Zetterberg anymore. They don't have a Lidstrom anymore. The Sedin twins, you know what I mean? All those big names, they don't have those. They're not even close.
No,
they're not even close to the US, or they're not real close to us. The Finns are probably third now currently, but the Swedes are just filler. They're the new Czechs. You know what I mean? They're just the original tournaments, the Czechs were just filler. And that's what the Swedes feel like now, until we see some real, talent coming up that they can actually play with us best on best. So it would be nice to get the Russians back in the fold, because we need a third team that can scare us.
I agree, brother. All right, let's get into our ball talk. We'll hear from TNT Security Inc., and then you've got some stuff to talk about in our new segment, Swing and a Miss. We'll be right back.
End Zone and Fantasy. Brought to you by TNT Security Inc., where security meets reliability. Call Todd Schmidt today for a security quote on your concert, dance, sporting, and alcohol event, business, property, or mobile patrol security.
All right. We've got our new segment, Swing and a Miss. What do you got on tap for us this week, Halser?
Well, we got a mess is what we got. The MLB Players Union is in upheaval right now. Their president, Tony Clark, has been forced to resign, and nothing's been proved legally. But what was written in the reports is that it was, quote, an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. Who we hired.
MLB.
Didn't we just have something like this in University of Michigan a year ago? You know what I mean?
The head football coach.
to quote an old movie, these dangerous liaisons.
Yes. Bruce Meyer is going to take over for Tony
Bruce Meyer,
Clark.
sorry. The problem here is serious, obviously at the top, but the problem is further made serious because the collective bargaining agreement expires after this season. And so when you hear all the chatter going on from a lot of owners, a lot of fans, and even some players now, which is really strange, thinking that a salary cap is coming. But I mean, in past generations, again, the benefits of being old, I remember the 84 strike, and they lost a year of baseball because like 94 was the last strike that really affected the schedule, and they lost an entire season. So I don't know to what effect, whether they're smart enough. They got the last agreement done 4 years ago, and they're not happy with it. And that's what the players are primarily pissed off about. The fact is, like, we moved a long way for your agreement 4 years ago now, and now you don't like it. And so the problem with the cap, I'm not sure I'm sold on the idea of a cap, and I'll tell you why. There has to be a control of some kind, but a salary cap means two things. Not only are you going to limit the teams that will spend, now you suddenly have to bring a floor up for those who don't like to spend, the Pittsburghs and the Tampas and the Clevelands of the world.
Cincinnati's.
Well, they just don't spend, and they're collecting tens to even hundreds of millions of dollars in tax money from the Dodgers and the Phillies and the Mets and now the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
And yet they don't spend that money on talent. So that's the problem for me. The NHL has a salary cap and they have a floor. And at some point in time, a few years ago, that floor was almost as important. Before all of these number one overall draft picks came into Edmonton, they were signing guys to get to the floor. Remember the Phoenix Coyotes?
Yeah.
They were signing guys that were retiring just to get to the floor on the salary cap. These guys weren't even playing.
They were taking injured players, their contracts.
Right, because they needed the contracts just so they make the floor.
Yeah.
And so in baseball, there's going to be some teams that'll have to start spending. So it's going to be hard to tell the top teams to stop spending, and it's going to be equally as difficult to tell the bottom teams to start spending, because they're if there's a cap, they don't get their tax money anymore.
Yeah.
And so you're asking them to spend more while taking money out of their pockets. So this is a very complicated situation. I've said on this program before, my only real issue with the current CBA is the fact that they're able to bypass the tax with deferred monies. I want to see an AAV just like they have in the NHL. If you sign a guy to a 5-year, $50 million contract, you give him $20 million signing bonus and only pay him $6 million the rest. It still counts as 10 per year against the cap. And that's the way it should be for baseball. And the Dodgers are the worst offenders, but they're not the only ones. There's lots of teams now that have deferred contracts that help circumvent this tax. And so this is a bit of a mess. And so Tony Clark going down 7 months before the contract expires could cause quite a problem in the future for baseball.
They said that the saving grace, his replacement, Bruce Meyer, he was the union's chief negotiator back in 2022 when they had their last CBA talks. Now, it should be said that there was a group of people that tried to get Meyer ousted out of the MLB Players Association executive. So not everybody's a Bruce Meyer fan, but
I was just going to mention that. You're right. He's not the most popular chap on the block. That's for sure.
But at this stage of the game, he seems like their best alternative, though, because he is familiar from the last round of negotiations, and he was able to step in quite quickly when all of this went down with Tony Clark. The other thing that I was reading about Halser is it's being reported that the owners are putting away $2 billion for the expected shutdown when the contract expires December 1st of this year. So they're preparing for a long, drawn-out
to be clear, I don't think we're looking at a strike here. I think we're looking at a lockout.
Yes, correct. Yeah. A lockout is when the owners take control. A strike is when the players take control. So you're right.
So if there's enough ownership that is set on a cap, we've had this war before. They lost a year of baseball fighting over the salary cap back in the 90s. And it wouldn't shock me, even though, lots of people like to make fun of this. It's like a bunch of millionaires fighting with a bunch of billionaires over billions of money.
Yeah.
And why can't you get an agreement? And there's a valid point to that. But at the end of the day, both sides have to be happy with an agreement. When you have services to render, you want to make sure you're getting max dollars. So there's really no emotion to it. The money's just too big now for there to be any emotion at the top from either the players or the owners. The only ones that show the emotion, obviously, are us fans who are just saying, we just like, I got money here. Take my money. I want to buy a ticket. Attendance is up. Viewership is up. Not just in Canada, but all over. The game is in a really good place right now. They have tons of marketable stars, and there's certainly room for growth. They're starting to play all over the place. They've got these cool little fantasy games going on, with one in Iowa at the Field of Dreams, and they've got one in Williamsport at the Little League Stadium, and they'll go down. They're playing over in Japan. They got lots of Japanese players now. The Cubs and somebody, I think, are opening the season over there a few days, or is it the Padres? Excuse me. And so there's lots of good stuff going on, but at the end of the day, the one little thing that's going on kind of under the radar now is the fact that there has never been more a case of haves and have-nots than there is right now. And so I was kind of thinking about the comparison. When you look at Team Canada today that lost, how much are they getting in salary? I didn't get my abacus out and do all the math. I didn't have time for that, but you can bet that is 2 or 3 times whatever an NHL salary cap is. You'd never be able to put that team together and have them compete in the NHL, but you can in baseball, as long as you're willing to pay the tax.
Yeah.
The Team Canada are the Dodgers of hockey, whereas they can just keep adding more talent because they have it. They have the means to have it. And what makes the Dodgers so dangerous to the game is that they're still making money. They are huge in Japan. Marketing and merchandising is huge revenue out of all around Japan, all around the islands there. They love Shote. They love Sasaki. I can't even think. And Yamamoto. They love all the Japanese players.
Yeah.
And it's as close as you get to the time zone. Whereas if they're playing in, you know what I mean?
If they're playing on the East Coast, it's a lot different.
It's 3 more hours, right? So they can actually watch these guys late at night. So at the end of the day, there's lots of good stuff going on, but there is one really bad cancer growing. And like I said, how are the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Cincinnati Reds, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Minnesota Twins, the Miami Marlins, how are they ever going to have sustainable success when people are spending 3 and 4 times more on their payroll than they are?
Yeah.
And this is a mess that needs to get fixed, as good as everything else is. And, nobody, you're not going to see 5 guys that are more excited for baseball season than I am in your life. But if it fixes the problem long term and gets some form of parity, look at the NFL. Anybody make playoffs any old given year. I mean, look, even the Patriots made the Super Bowl, and they're obviously not that good, right, Clarky? Anyways, you don't get that in baseball anymore. You don't get that kind of parity. I mean, a team gets good for a couple of years, then they get too expensive and they give away their talent. It's always going to be the Yankees. It's always going to be the Dodgers. Probably always going to be the Jays as well, because they're willing to spend $300 million. If you're not spending $300 million bucks a year, you're not having sustainable success.
Okay, let's get into the Yankees superstar Aaron Judge. You wanted to talk about him a little bit with opening day spring training. What did you want to talk about there?
2 bombs in the first game. I mean, guys are just getting their timing, aren't they? They're supposed to be.
Right.
And he's one motivated cowboy. Watch out now. If you're drafting in your pool this year for baseball, I don't have the best record with prophecy, but I think Judge could have a bigger than normal Judge year, because he is very motivated to get his team back over the hump. And the other good news for the Yankees is that Garrett Cole threw his first bullpen session. And a lot of people are talking about Boston or Toronto having the best pitching staff. But if the Yankees are healthy, keeping in mind they've got Cole coming back from injury probably May, maybe as late as June if there's any setbacks. Rodon will be back in June as well. They've already got Max Fried, this kid Schlittler who had a under 3 ERA as well. I mean, they're loaded. They're absolutely loaded. They could end up having the best rotation in baseball once they finally get healthy and get back into the groove. And the good thing for the Yankees is that those are going to be like, those guys are coming halfway through. By the time the stretch run, the pennant run comes, they're going to be broke right in and in their prime. So the Yankees are going to be super, super tough this year. I expect them to be even better than they were last year.
Yeah, you had mentioned about Yankees ace Garrett Cole, 35 years old, had Tommy John surgery last March. He began throwing in August, and he's already ramped it up, they said, up to 95 and even 97. They're going to take their time with him, and you're right.
Well, you need to, right? Because he's going to be on an innings count. He'll be on a limited innings count. His starts will be, probably the first time he comes out, I'd be surprised if he throws any more than 80 pitches, whatever that works out to, 4 innings or 5 innings, probably closer to 4. And because they don't want to run out of innings when it matters most. Because if you're going to play the Dodgers in the World Series and they can counter Ohtani and Yamamoto and all the other guys they got over there with a rotation that is every bit as good. So it's going to be very interesting to see if all the health falls into place for the Yankees. That's the only problem with the Yankees. They're a little shallow. They don't have a lot of depth there. So if these guys either have setbacks, you got to get to that point. So they're going to be coming out of the gate short on starting pitching. If they can get some wins together and stay anywhere near first place, once they get their rotation, they're going to be hard to stop.
I agree. And then just quickly, you had mentioned about Yankees superstar Aaron Judge having 2 bombs yesterday. 2 2-run homers in their 20-3 win over Schenker's Detroit Tigers. Looks like he's in fine form, gearing up for the World Baseball Classic starting March the 6th. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in the next week or so. And really looking forward to that.
Yeah, next week when we come on, Shanker and I are going to throw it down a little bit about the World Baseball Council Championship, give you kind of an overview and whatever Canada's guys to watch, and we'll break it down a little bit for everybody next week because it starts, like you said, on the 6th over in Japan. Canada's going to play in Puerto Rico, where they do have a chance to advance past the round robin if they get some good news. The only bad news they've got so far is Freddie Freeman ain't playing. So
that's
a shame.
It was sad to read about that, but he's had a tough go with family and other things, and so I get it. But
I've been to a couple of those games. The one year they were at the Sky Dome, and that was so much fun. Even going to the we watched 2 Latino teams, and I tell you what, if you have to love the big game of baseball, but if you ever have a chance to go watch a baseball game between 2 Latino countries, you will have more fun at the ballpark than you ever have in your life. They bring drums, they sing. It's almost like a soccer like atmosphere. They love to sing, they chant, they play their drums, they bring in all kinds of noisemakers. It is a party to these people, man. I remember way back in the day, I was in Toronto umpiring a senior league, and they were all regional teams. There was a Nicaraguan team and a Puerto Rican team and what have you. They had 8 teams in there, and it was the same thing. I'm playing in some park near the lakeshore, and there's 400 or 500 people there. Nicaragua's got all their fans on this side, and Puerto Rico's got all their fans on that side, and they're just competing drum solos back and forth, singing and chanting. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, go see 1 or 2 of those games.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing you and Shanker throwing it down about the World Baseball Classic starting next month. Halser, what are your final thoughts for tonight?
Well, I want to give a shout out to our 2 curling teams that went over to the Olympics, and I tell you what, for 2 different reasons. First of all, I don't watch a lot of curling. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to.
You don't?
I don't. But kind of like a lot of sports, being a junkie and all, we watch when the biggest stuff is going on. My dad's an avid curler. I know about it. I grew up watching the
Al Hackner
and the Sandra Schmerlers and
Ed Werenich,
the Ranch Eddie Werenich and the Howard brothers.
Lennon Russ, yeah.
So anyway, I was absolutely captivated Saturday afternoon by the gold medal game between Canada and the Great Britain. Now, it should be noted, on one side, you've got Brad Jacobs. Any Canadian champion, is a kick-ass curler because we're about the best in the world at it, or one of the best countries in the world. Yeah. But the Great Britain team with Bruce Bowen is the top-ranked team in the world. So you've got this monster matchup. You've got a former gold medal winner in Jacobs on one side and the world number one on the other side. And I'm telling you, these guys, their seconds were curling 98%. Now, it's a very complicated algorithm that's, basically it's what percentage of what you aimed to do that shot did you do? And 98% through about 8 ends. These two guys were putting the rocks exactly where they wanted them every time. And every time Canada looked like they were going to score 2 or 3, the British guy had come down and he did a double takeout. He did a raised double takeout, and they're just hammering each other with body blows. And then finally in the 9th end, they got into a position they were down by 1 in the 9th with the hammer, and a couple of good things happened without getting too much into it. And the British team needed a double takeout, and they had 3 tries to get that double takeout, and they missed on all 3 of them. Canada scores 3 and ends up winning the game in the 10th to win the gold medal. I think the final was 7-6. And the girls, I want to give them a shout out because Rachel Homan lost the semifinal to Sweden. They were right in that game and then gave up a 3 spot on a big miss from Rachel in the 8th, then I believe it was. So they were bitterly disappointed that they didn't get to the final, but they were playing the US in the bronze medal game. And one of the things that's really cool about the Olympics, one of the things I really love about the Olympics, never in your life will you hear anybody celebrate so hard that won 3rd place. And that's the nature of the Olympics, is that 3rd place is a monumental accomplishment. And they recognize that, and they played a nearly flawless game and beat the US and got a little bit of revenge for the ladies hockey at the time, which was before the men's hockey game. And so shout out to Rachel Homan, who, as we always say in men's hockey, we don't win silver, we lose gold.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we say in Canada when it comes to hockey. Canada has never won silver medal in anything. It's always lost the gold. Right.
Right.
So to have the girls show up and play that level of game for a bronze medal because they wanted to put that in their trophy cases, knowing 20 years down the road, they're going to feel wonderful about that bronze, and they should. It was a great accomplishment. So as frustrating as it was in hockey, we can assert that we are pretty much the best curling playing country in the world as well. And that ain't half bad.
Well said. All right. For Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. Thanks for watching episode 21 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.